Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thanks for joining us. I have huge news I'm putting out in this video. Something that people don't understand the ramification of what's coming. Let's jump right into this article, then I'll explain. From CBS News, it's actually all over the news. Bill Gates on next generation nuclear power technology. Oh, and there's Bill Gates again. There's far more to it than simply just having the nefarious name Bill Gates. Again, this is huge. Check this out. In a remote part of Wyoming, Bill Gates and his 10-year-old energy company, TerraPower, are planning their first cutting-edge nuclear power plant. And the author of this article definitely has an idea of what's going on. I'm curious why you chose Wyoming, because Wyoming is, in fact, a large coal-producing state. You're kind of watching to the lion's den, didn't you there? Gates responded, Wyoming has a lot of transmission because of coal plants. They're talking about transmission lines, and they're willing to let things go at full speed. There's somewhat of a pro-business atmosphere in Wyoming. Wyoming is a fairly conservative state. Bill Gates is not a name where I think people would have a lot of praise because of his stance on phasing out coal and things of that sort. But now he's kind of your local hero. I think people in Wyoming would disagree. There are people who absolutely abhor him, but it is what it is. Instead, he decided to pour money into this, nuclear power, and it goes along with his green energy moving forward. And what blows my mind is in times past, 20, 30 years ago, all the activists were saying, no nukes, no nuclear power, no nuclear power. They hated it and thought it was the worst thing known to mankind. And now all these activists are turning around and saying, oh, let's do all nuke, because they want to capitalize on the energy market. Bill Gates is at the front of the line when it comes to people trying to do this. And in the air, today's plant workers may be getting new jobs. This is a new design nuclear reactor, but it's still going to end up generating steam, turning turbines, etc. You're going to have a lot of the same equipment that you use right now to generate power. So a lot of what we can do is simply transferable. And they're talking about, it's good for them because it's bringing jobs to the community. Okay, great. The article led us off into what's the controversy here. The controversy is huge. And I'm going to give you information from the mind of a nuclear military guy who understands this stuff far better than the average Joe. Let's go ahead and look at the comparison between the United States and Russia when it comes to nuclear power. In the United States, we chose from the beginning to use water as the medium to carry the heat from the primary part of the plant, which actually has the nuclear vessel, to the second loop, which is the part that turns the turbines. There's actually two loops, by the way. And we use water for one main reason, by the way, besides simply being plentiful. It actually absorbs neutrons. So what happens is the way we purposely designed our nuclear power plants in the United States was they actually have what's called a negative coefficient. What that means is, it's kind of picture this in your car. You want to increase the power of the nuclear reactor. It's kind of like you pressing the gas pedal in your car. You want to go faster. You want to produce more power. Of course, producing more power in the nuclear plant could be dangerous if you go too high. So what do? On the gas pedal of your car, you have a big, massive spring that makes it so as you push it, the spring pushes back. And every time you try to push it further, it pushes it back and produces what's called a negative coefficient. In other words, the more you push our plants in America trying to get nuclear power to work even more, the more the reactor and the system built in using water resists that, trying to slow down that change in the reaction. It is an amazing safety feature to make it so our plants don't go crazy out of control. The downfall with that is it's not incredibly efficient. It's not. But you know what? In America, we're more concerned with safety than obviously with efficiency. Not that our gold friends, the Ruskies, the Russians, their plants actually use liquid graphite or sometimes liquid metal. And the way it works is, it's like on a car, the spring is not making it so it pushes against the gas pedal, but as you push on the gas pedal, the spring almost makes it so the pedal goes down even further. So it's very easy for those plants, the way they're intrinsically designed in Russia, to make it so the plants go out of control very easily. I mean, why would they do that? Because they're incredibly efficient is the situation. So as they put on the gas in the plants in Russia, metaphorically speaking, the spring makes it so it pushes the gas even further, making the reaction speed up incredibly fast. So what they do is they have a whole bunch of safety features involved. So that way, if for some reason it does take off, it'll automatically shut down. And those safety features try to prevent what happened in things like Chernobyl. A Chernobyl could result because of the way these Russian reactors are made. They're incredibly efficient. Like we're talking about 300% efficient compared to the United States, but because of the liquid graphite and what they use, it literally makes it so the plants could go out of control. And they did. Look at Chernobyl. In America, every one of our nuclear plants is water-based. It absorbs the neutrons, slows the reaction down. But this reactor that Bill Gates is proposing is not water-based. It does not have a negative coefficient. It has a positive coefficient like the Russian reactors. Now, are they used in liquid graphite? No, liquid sodium. It's actually going to put, and it is considered to be a metal reactor, the liquid metal, by the way, that flows through the piping, is going to change the coefficient, making it so that reactor in the middle of Wyoming, in the middle of coal territory, in the middle of this conservative state, is going to have a positive coefficient. And if we don't have the right safeguards in place, could easily turn Wyoming into the next Chernobyl. And I looked all over in the different types of articles talking about Bill Gates. And it's funny how this article was very clever in saying, oh, look, you're in the middle of conservatives. Oh, look, it has this. Oh, it has a lot of the same parts and stuff. It's creating new jobs. And they're trying to really shed the light on this nuclear reactor that Bill Gates is going to be building there as a great thing. Not telling you, by the way, this type of reactor is new revolutionary reactor. It's never been done before with sodium, but the sodium reactor, liquid sodium is going to work just like the liquid graphite in the Russian reactors, making a positive coefficient, making it so as Bill Gates turns the power on, it's going to try to escalate on its own, easily causing a meltdown if they don't have the safeguards in place. Wyoming, my friends, this is a time to let people know that this should not be allowed. And why are they doing it in Wyoming? Because in a lot of places in Wyoming, it's right in the middle of nowhere. I wonder if they're considering this whole situation. You know what? Let's get away from a lot of population centers. I'm not saying there aren't some population centers in Wyoming. Been there many times. There are, of course. But we actually have a lot of sparse area. And I wonder if that's what's really going on. Put in the comments below what you think about this. Because when we talk about reactor dynamics, in the United States, every nuclear reactor we have is water-based, has a negative coefficient until now. And Bill Gates, again, with his nefarious little scrawny fingers, has his hands in this, and it looks like we're heading for a catastrophe.